All right, let's talk about roadmaps. If you're in product, you've definitely built them. We all have. We pour weeks, sometimes even months, into making these beautiful, detailed timelines. But let's ask the tough question. Is what we're building actually a strategy? Or is it just a really pretty roadmap that leads absolutely nowhere?
This quote, it just hits a little too close to home, doesn't it? It perfectly captures that feeling of being constantly busy, shipping feature after feature, but not really being sure if any of it is moving the needle. It's a super common frustration, and it points to a much, much bigger problem.
So what is going on here? Why do so many of our big strategic documents feel, well, not very strategic at all? To figure that out, we've got to learn how to spot a bad strategy when it's staring us right in the face.
And lucky for us, Richard Rumelt gave us an amazing framework for this in his book, Good Strategy, Bad Strategy. So let's break down the 4 big, flashing red flags that tell you what you're looking at probably isn't a strategy.
First up, we have fluff. You know exactly what this is. It's that corporate buzzword salad that sounds super impressive on a slide but means absolutely nothing. It's designed to create this, illusion of deep strategic thinking. But if you poke it, the whole thing just collapses.
I mean, seriously, what in the world does that even mean? This is a perfect, almost painful example of fluff. It's a sentence that takes up space but gives you zero direction, zero clarity, and zero actual strategy. If your strategy statement sounds anything like this, that is a huge warning sign.
The second sign is a failure to actually face the challenge. See, a real strategy is always a direct response to a specific problem. If you haven't clearly, honestly identified the main obstacle you're trying to overcome, then you don't have a strategy, you just have a wish list.
And this happens all the time. We say, we need to increase user engagement, but we totally skip the hard part of figuring out why it's low to begin with. Is the UI confusing? Is the value not clear? Is a competitor just doing it better? Without that diagnosis, you're just throwing features into the dark, hoping something sticks.
Which brings us to probably the most common mistake of all, confusing your goals for your strategy. Now, goals are great. We need them. They tell us where we want to end up. But they are not the map that tells us how to get there.
This is a fantastic ambition. It's a great goal to have, but it's not a strategy. The strategy is the how. How are you going to differentiate yourself? How will you beat the current market leaders? How are you going to solve a specific pain point for remote teams better than anyone else can? That's where the real strategic thinking is.
And finally, we have bad strategic objectives. This is basically what happens when those other 3 mistakes all get thrown into a blender. You end up with a roadmap that just looks like a long laundry list of totally disconnected projects, where every single department got to throw in their favorite pet feature.
And the result is always the same. When you try to do everything, you end up achieving nothing of real value. Your team's focus and resources get spread so thin that you can't make a meaningful dent in anything. It's just the opposite of focus.
So there you have it. Fluff, wish list, confusing goals with plans. You put them all together, and that is the anatomy of a bad strategy.
Okay, so if that's the trap we all want to avoid, how do we actually build a good one? If we know what bad looks like, what does the path to a genuinely effective strategy look like?
This is where Richard Rumelt's framework becomes so incredibly useful. He calls it the kernel of good strategy. And honestly, it's this beautifully simple 3-part structure that just cuts through all of that noise and confusion. It looks simple, right? Diagnosis, guiding policy, and coherent actions. But the real magic is in how these 3 things lock together. So let's start with the most critical part, the diagnosis.
So the key to a good diagnosis is being incredibly specific. You have to be like a product doctor. You don't just say, the patient feels sick, you find the root cause. So instead of a vague goal like increase user retention, a real diagnosis is sharp, it's specific. Retention drops 60% after week 1 because. Now that's a problem you can actually go out and solve.
Next, you need a guiding policy. The best way to think about this is like the guardrails on a highway. It doesn't tell you exactly how to steer the car, but it definitely keeps you from driving off a cliff. It's your high-level approach that creates intense focus by making a clear choice. Here, we're choosing immediate value over just having a ton of features. That single decision makes 1,000 future decisions way easier.
Okay, so we have our diagnosis, that's the what, and our guiding policy, that's the how.
Now it's time for the final piece of the puzzle, turning that policy into a concrete plan of action. This is where the roadmap finally earns its place, not as a wish list, but as a set of truly coherent actions.
And this is what makes it a real strategy. Just look at this list. Notice how none of these are random features? They are coherent. Every single one of them directly serves our guiding policy of delivering that immediate aha moment. We're redesigning the sign-up flow so we can understand intent and personalize things. We're building an interactive tour so users can see the value faster. We're using progressive disclosure so we don't overwhelm them. Everything is working together, reinforcing everything else. This isn't a laundry list, it's a focused, coordinated attack on the problem.
So that's the framework: diagnosis, guiding policy, and coherent actions. The next time you look at your product roadmap, I want you to ask yourself this one simple question. Is it a coherent plan designed to overcome a specific, well-defined challenge? Or is it just a wish list? Because that answer makes all the difference in the world.